Greetings everyone, Joseph James here once again from theschooloftrade.com, December 3rd, 2009, with your quiz of the day. Now here's how it works. There's going to be a quiz at the end of this video, ladies and gentlemen. If you guys know the answer to this quiz, of course we'll talk about some of the important terms we use in our live trade room every day. If you guys know the answer to this quiz, right below the video on our YouTube page, there's a link in the description box right below this video. Click right next to that says, I know the answer. And guys, the first 5 correct answers will get a free beginner's course. And each correct answer will earn you credit towards your advanced course materials. We're also doing great giveaways every month, guys, like flat screen monitors for your computer, optical mouses. Trivia today is reading tape, or tape reading. Now this is a very important skill. We use it every day in our live trade room, as you guys know. And what is it? What is tape reading? Well, it's a study of raw price actions that comes across your time and sales window. It's considered to be the purest form of the market, and it dates all the way back to the 1870s when the old ticker tape machines reported the latest bid and the ask of whatever market they were watching. We use the same principles today, except today, of course, we use an electronic version rather than the simple ticker tape that we used back in the 1870s. So we still use the same techniques today, just it's delivered a little bit more efficiently on your electronic time and sales window. Now here's how it's used. It's used to predict short-term price changes by examining price and volume information as it comes across the ticker tape. Most effectively, it's used at potential turning points in the market to gauge overall market sentiment and to help us determine the future direction of price. Now traders will use this to see confirmation of a potential trade setup or potentially a heads up that that trade should be avoided. We also use the tape reading skill as an indication of when momentum has potentially dried up, which means we may want to take our profits off early, tighten up our stops to, of course, avoid the risk in the market. So here's how it's used. It's used to predict short-term price changes, right? So small, short-term price changes, right? Tape reading is the fastest or the purest form of the market. So you're not going to be looking at tape reading for a very long-term time frame. It's a very fast time frame to predict short-term price changes. And now we look for these short-term price changes around these potential turning points. Now potential turning points are support and resistance, high of day, low of day, right? Swing high or swing low. So we use this skill of tape reading around these potential turning points to gauge overall market sentiment. The market sentiment means what is the mass majority of traders or the participants. Are they buyers or are they sellers, right? That's the sentiment. Now we're going to use this kind of feedback the market gives us around these potential turning points. As we read the tape, it's going to give us a confirmation of whether or not we should take the trade or whether or not we should avoid the trade. And it's also used for our exits as well. So we're going to use it for our entries, but we're also going to use it to tell us when momentum is dried up, which would tell us, of course, when we should be tightening up our stops, taking the profit early, anticipating, obviously, that the market may be reversing. Now guys, again, tape reading, it's a skill you've got to learn, and it's vital to day traders. Okay, it's a skill. You've got to learn this stuff. Now it's somewhat difficult to teach, so you've got to come in every day and learn this stuff live in real time with us in our trade room. It's a lot like trying to learn how to swim. If you were to ask me how do I learn how to swim, I could of course tell you, right? You move your arms around, you kick your legs, but you really can't learn how to swim until you jump into the pool. Well, the same thing happens when it comes to tape reading. You're not going to be able to read a book on this stuff, guys. So come out and join us in our trade room every single day, and we'll show you how to take the pulse of the market. Now, we use this tape reading at various times throughout the day. So we're going to use this all over the place. Of course, I can tape read to see the overall volume. I tape read to know when to enter the market, when to exit the market. I watch the time and sales window. I read my tape at specific price levels of support and resistance. A good example would be at the high of the day. Okay, so of course, if we have price testing the high of the day, if I see large buyers, aggressive buyers at the high of the day, I would expect to see the high most likely not hold. But if while we test the high of the day, if I see sellers step in, reading the time and sales window, reading the tape at the high of the day will tell me to short the high rather than buying it. And of course, we can also tape read as a relative comparison tool to a previous point in time. For example, let's take a look at the market at 8 o'clock and then look at how fast the tape is, what the size of the orders are, what the condition of the orders are, and compare that now to 10 o'clock. So if I'm seeing big, strong buyers, quick speed of the tape, lots of buy pressure at 8 o'clock, but then I compare that to what it looks like at 10 o'clock, which might be very slow and sluggish, not very many big buyers or sellers at all, that would be how you compare, right, to a previous point in time. So we can look at it at 8 o'clock compared to what it looked like at 10 o'clock, and we can make decisions based upon that. Now guys, I can't talk about tape reading unless I also talk about the pace of a tape indicator. As I've said before, learning to read tape can be a little bit challenging. It takes some time. It takes some time learning, watching, listening to the market. Now what I found was I can dramatically shorten the learning curve, right? I can speed up the process of learning this by using visual tools such as our pace of a tape indicator. Now as you can see here, guys, this of course shows a pace of a tape indicator in the lower right hand corner of your monitor. As you guys zoom in here, you can see we have the pace of a tape, right? Red pace of a tape, of course, is slow volume. That means to beware. So you can see how it's very easy to see the colors, the shapes, the patterns on the pace of a tape indicator. Now we talked about how the time and sales window, right, tape reading, is used for your entries, for your exits, for your stop, pretty much for everything we do. Well, if we consider the pace of a tape indicator as kind of an asset or a tool that we can use in addition to reading tape, then of course we can use our pace of a tape indicator for entries. So whereas I would normally be looking for a short trade here, you can see, okay, for a short trade, looking for this breaker pattern short, what we're looking at here is, if you follow me down the lower left hand corner, we have, of course, very easy to see here on the pace of a tape indicator, we have that strong green rising pace of a tape. That of course means that as price is falling, more and more people are jumping on the seller's bandwagon. Now of course, if the pace of a tape is increasing, that will confirm my entry. And then to the opposite side, if we have the pace of a tape decreasing, like it is right here, again, lower left hand corner, there's your pace of a tape indicator. Now of course, if it's decreasing, pretty easy to see this one, right? A lot easier to see a decreasing speed of the tape than it is to actually just physically look at the time and sales window and see when it's moving. So we look for the patterns, right, the structure of the pace of a tape, along with our time and sales window, to really give us kind of a better idea of where the next move is likely to happen here on whatever market we're trading. Now, of course, we can also use our time and sales window, right, tape reading, to manage our trades. So on top of that, we can use our pace of a tape indicator, and in this example, you can see here in the lower right-hand corner, okay, we have your pace of a tape indicator down bottom here, and you'll notice we have a falling pace of a tape, right? We've got decreasing pace of a tape here. Now you'll notice, guys, when we have decreasing pace of a tape, what does that mean? That means the speed of your time and sales window is slowing down. When it slows down, what does that mean? That means we're likely now for a reversal. If we're likely for a reversal, I want to take my profit off the table, tie it up, and keep it rather than give it back to the market. So when I see the red pace of a tape here, I want to take that third target right back in the center here. I want to take that third target off the table. And when you combine that red pace of a tape, the decreasing red pace of a tape, with things like the MACD indicator curling, with momentum pointing down, right? Those are the three things, right? MACD, momentum, and the pace of a tape. We're going to use all three of these in combination with your tape reading skills to know when to hold them and when to fold them. So know exactly when to let your winners run and when to take that trade off the table. And then of course, last but not least, guys, one of the biggest benefits is qualifying pullbacks. Qualifying pullbacks and retracements is possibly one of the biggest uses and the best uses for using our pace of a tape indicator and for using your time and sales window. Being able to tell the difference between a pullback and a reversal, as you guys can imagine, is going to be a big asset for me going forward. So we use our time and sales window, tape reading, in addition to our pace of a tape indicator here, to know exactly when these reversals are happening and when they're just going to be pullbacks. All right, guys, here's quiz time. Time for quizzes. Get your pen and paper out. Get your pencils handy. Now, here's the quiz. This skill is used to predict short-term price changes and is considered to be the purest form of the market. Once again, this skill is used to predict short-term, right? Keyword here, short-term price changes, and is considered to be the purest form of the market. What do you think? Is it the time and sales window? Very important tool. Is it tape reading? Is it market profile? Or is it the pace of a tape indicator? Right? This skill is used to predict short-term price changes and is considered the purest form of the market. Time and sales window? Is it your tape reading? Is it your market profile? Or maybe it's that wonderful pace of the tape indicator. You'll see a link that says, I know the answer. Right? Just click on that link and post your answer on our blog. And guys, we're giving away free beginners courses, discounts in the advanced course. And guys, at the end of this month, we'll be raffling off a couple flat screen monitors, a couple high-resolution mouses. Post your answers, guys, by clicking on our blog, and we'll see you guys tomorrow morning at 7:45 a.m. Eastern Time in our live trade room. My name is